Are we drunk slightly, or are we getting hypnotized? Or are we poisoned? Boom. Boom. Boom.
I see. Welcome, detectives. Shall we begin?
Freaky. What's up, Charlotte? What? Yeah, for what? Nice. Clocking good.
The smell of cigarette smoke and cheap
How close are you to
mead
unlocking that
gave
last
way
board?
to something else. An intoxicating woman's perfume, mixed with a musty, lush aroma and the essence of expensive liquors. It was as if we'd suddenly descended
You have to get
into
7
another
achievements to get
time.
there.
We were standing in front of a
It's
throne,
achievement-based, yeah.
occupied by a real queen, as if she'd just stepped off the canvas of an old painting. I felt dizzy. I've been in some tough situations in my life, but this time, I shuddered. Would we ever get out of here with our feathers intact?
Ain't gonna clucking happen.
Welcome to our humble abode, detectives.
Oh, that was a bad throw.
Humble? I have a different definition of humble.
Yeah, it's the
Mr.
humble bundle.
Featherland, we used to live in a huge castle outside the Hive. Compared to that, this hovel is an insult.
Well, an underpaid cop like me would kill for an insult like this.
Come on, Mr. McChicken. Don't be so modest. You've got a quaint little apartment in Harlow Street with a lovely wife. You should be proud.
Wait, what? But how do you know that?
Oh, no need to be frightened, gentlemen. But they call us the Great Web for a reason. We can feel even the smallest vibration of the city from our throne. Our silk threads are everywhere.
Now we can sleep peacefully.
It's the plain truth. And you, dear detectives, are in the truth business, are you not?
According to the book.
And to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit,
Apparently this
gentle
happened,
birds?
which was funny.
We're looking for an
if you saw that.
insect that died, then disappeared.
Ah, I see. Well, make yourselves comfortable.
Why
Look
is it out of?
around.
Why is it? What?
Snoop. I can sense your hearts beat a little fast. Calm down first, and
I like
then
how I've
we
done-
can talk.
You tried it, and she's
You
like,
can
what?
sense our... But
We'll do
There you
just
go,
that.
here you
Thank
go.
you. So, can we ask you a few questions?
First, you have to answer us. Why are you so interested in the fate of a mere insect?
Because he's
Did
an old
it
friend of mine.
hurt one of your kind?
Not at all, ma'am. We were hired
Yeah?
by someone. A widow.
She's talking to you now, right?
Ooh. So you're altruistic crusaders.
Dude, SoFi Stadium's so weird to be
Maybe
in.
we were just bored, ma'am.
I've
It's
heard
not a proper
you
dome,
boys
plus it's
have been
divided into two
stirring up
parts,
a lot of trouble over
Where
the
the
last
YouTube theater's
2
on one
decades.
side, and then the actual
Perhaps this
stadium's on the
time
other side.
you've delved too deep into the hornet's nest.
Well, maybe if you come out
You
to
think
LA
so?
with me this year.
We're certain.
We'll see. If you don't mind, we'd like to ask you a few questions.
Be
I
our
haven't
guest.
decided if I'm going to
We
Mania
have
or not.
nothing to hide.
Appreciate it.
Since
That's quite a throne you've got there.
Why, thank you. It was our late grandmother's 200 years ago.
whoa, wait, then how old are you?
Do you think it's appropriate to ask such a question of a lady?
For cluck's sake, Marty.
Oh, yeah, sorry. But it is a really beautiful chair.
You're funny. We like you.
Thank the gods.
What can you tell us about the current state of the Hive?
Did you come here with paper bags on your heads? Have you not seen with your eyes?
Well, we'd like to hear it in your words.
As you wish. Since the Segregation Act, our people are suffering more than ever. We are eating ourselves alive. You may think we're being figurative, but we couldn't be more literal. We're running out of flesh, of life, of soul. But before that happens, our patience will run out.
The Segregation Act wasn't good for business either, right?
Correct. We don't want to be seen as the selfless grande dame, or everyone's fairy godmother. No. We were running a thriving business.
You mean a thriving criminal business?
Call it what you like. It was blooming, but the blossom eventually withered. Now we are suffering like everyone else. The Hive is an oil barrel, detectives, and Clawville a crazy old fool with a match in his hand.
Is the barrel gonna explode?
And with it, the old fool.
Well, thanks for your honest opinion.
Not mere opinion. This is our future, gentlemen.
Tell me, do you remember a pianist called
Hey, Div.
Douglas?
He's right above
I don't know
us,
if you're still in
even
here,
as
but
we speak.
how are you?
He's either drinking his tears or some hard booze.
Was he really your personal pianist?
Something like that. We loved him and the way he played,
Sorry, we've been
Full of
watching
heart.
football and talking about travel.
but we couldn't tolerate his erratic behavior
as well as
any
playing
longer.
this. So,
Who was the guy he got into a fight with?
A fiance of mine at the time. He's dead now.
a fiance of mine at the time, and he's dead
Douglas.
now. That's
That
suspicious.
silly little thing. He was always madly in love with us. He put that in his songs. And that's why we loved him.
Interesting.
But he was
Plot
jealous.
thickens.
Jealousy is a terrible demon.
It is, detective.
Oh, Zach.
It is.
There's no hope of letting him back in?
You pity him, right?
I
I
pity
can
the fool.
understand that. It happened to us, too. We let him back, but he can't play or stay sober.
That makes
If
it
we could
hard.
help you with those two things, would you take him back?
Perhaps. But why would you do that?
Drinking his tonic.
What
and
did he
gin.
promise you?
Nothing in the world. We're just trying to be good birds,
Good
that's all.
Samaritans.
So the tales are true after all.
Well, we're talking to a living legend too, so tales can be true.
It's a deal, then. If you can find a cure for his hand and his heart,
Cure for his hand and heart.
we'll welcome his return.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Ran into seeing it now. Look, it says Mish. You want to wave or say hi in a video? Hold on. You gonna say anything? Is that all you're gonna say? Brandon, stop sucking.
Are you ready to go a little
I'll
deeper?
just throw her under the bus.
Oh, you mean you're going to interrogate us?
That's one way of putting it. I prefer to call it a controlled conversation.
Interesting. You seem like a rough, crude fellow at first glance. But
You can
underneath
also pull
those
that real
ruffled
quick.
feathers,
That's just Funkos on there.
you have a rather sophisticated soul.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Especially the ruffled feathers part.
Our pleasure. Well, shall we begin?
I'd be delighted.
Time for an interrogation.
Perhaps a tad. The Queen seems to like us, but that may be a simple disguise. In any case, a veteran criminal like her is probably harder to break than to open with the right honeyed words. Boost her ego. That can be a solid tactic, but either playing the good or the bad cop. Nothing is impossible if you ask the right questions in the right tone.
Fair.
Be forewarned, Detective. What you learn here may shake everything you've ever believed in.
Oh no.
You think I
Great
believe in
conspiracy
anything?
theory.
It seems your famous senses have failed you.
Oh, I know
We'll
why she's
see,
laying there now.
Mr.
I've been
Featherland.
wondering why.
We'll see.
It's because I turned on the heat and the thing is there. Alright. Please tell us about yourself, Majesty. How did you come? Did you really use the royal plural? Is there some kind of aristocrat fat? Miss Solandra, may I call you that, or should I stick with the queen? Almost kind of polite, but also kind of rude.
Please
Here's
tell
the
us
top
about
one
yourself,
first.
Your Majesty. How did you become who you are?
You'd be surprised how little awareness there was in it. Things happened. Years flew by. And suddenly we found ourselves on this throne.
Lucky coincidences?
There are no coincidences, dear
Only
Inspector.
circumstances.
We just did what we thought was right.
Right. We
Don't forget
rarely
the
hear
ball,
that
man.
from the heads of criminal organizations, if I don't offend you.
What is right for someone, and in what situation, is subjective. We've lived our whole lives by a code of what we thought was right.
Isn't that convenient?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes the opposite.
Let's get to the point. Bodies are disappearing from the cemetery, and the clues have led us here. What do you think? Why?
You're not playing games. We appreciate that. Yes, in a way, we understand that some clues could have led you here. But those can be misleading. We know nothing about the missing bodies.
You don't know about them, or you have nothing to do with them. Big difference.
There is a big difference. We've heard things. The Great Web is everywhere. And every little bit of information makes its threads twitch. But no, we have nothing to do with them.
Yes, return into the collecting crime scene lab. The cemetery caretaker knows. Someone almost died on the and the perpetrator seemed to have come from here. How about that? Someone was hit with a bottle that had the name of this place on it. Is it a coincidence? I feel like that's less accusatory and just more questioning the circumstances. So I think
Someone was hit with a bottle that had the name of this place on it. Is it a coincidence?
We don't believe in coincidences, Mr. Featherland. But that doesn't prove that the perpetrator was following our orders.
No one said that, madam.
It's true. It could have been a simple bum or just an angry boozer. Am I right?
For example,
Still, something's bothering me.
what?
Why the mysterious phrasing? Why didn't you just say you didn't know anything about it? Plain and simple.
Because it wouldn't have been true, Mr. Featherland.
Fair. That's what I thought. I almost want to ask about which one do you want, Ray? Ray's like, I didn't do anything. When we mention the name of Distant Light to injured Uncle Joe, he seems scared to death. Why? Or let's say I believe you. Do you think the glass was not just a weapon, but also a message? I feel like this is super direct, whereas this is indirect, and so far the indirect doesn't seem to have worked with her as much.
When we mentioned the name of the Distant Light to the injured Uncle Joe, he was scared to death. Why?
Scared to death.
This
Why?
used to be a dreaded place, and for good reason. Now, it's a derelict shadow of its former self. A pity, right? But anyone who hears of it and is as old as Uncle Joe is right to shiver. Memories are strong.
So it's an open secret that the Great Web is nesting here. The Hive's legendary and infamous criminal organization.
An open secret? I wouldn't even call it that. It was never a secret, because we had no reason to keep it as such. We had nothing to fear.
The police never got their hands on this place. Am I right?
Just as you say. But it is not the police we need to be afraid of.
Suppose I believe you that it wasn't you. Why did you take out? Why didn't you take it? We've got a pile of missing bodies and a blood trail in here. What do you make of that? Kira? I know which one I'd pick, but... "412!" I hate SoFi Stadium. I feel like they both can be rude.
Suppose I believe that it wasn't you.
That's what I was
Why didn't you take action against it?
You still
That's why I was
think
happy.
we're the feared and dreaded vigilantes of the Hive. Unfortunately, those days are over, Inspector. The Great Web is now more of an information
Yeah, SoFi
center
Stadium's weird because
than a
it's
real,
actually underground,
viable
so-
enterprise.
And it's like, huh.
But information is power, ain't it?
Indeed, it is. But much more so for a place that is not cut off from every other part of the world. We've been enclosed, Mr. Featherland. So the world is slowly but surely passing us by.
Start her offsides.
Unless,
Unless you do something about it.
yes. But that's another story. You know, the people of the Hive don't need the Great Web to express their feelings,
Fair.
especially their anger.
A hive-sized rebellion, for example.
Of course, neither the city nor the crown wants that. In fact, we don't want it.
Oh, I wonder how
But
to do
sadly,
color, but I can't
we are no longer the most
Actually,
powerful in the Hive. There are others who say how things are done.
I like that there's an autoplay. It's a plus 20 wing. So, okay, if it wasn't you, then who was it? Who has the reason and the power to do something?
Okay, if it wasn't you, then who was it? Who has the reason and the power to do such a thing?
The Golden Fang clan is well entrenched in the Hive. Thanks in part to them, much of our business is no longer, how shall we say, profitable.
The clan, huh? I heard they've been pretty quiet lately.
The fact that a criminal organization doesn't openly blow things up doesn't mean they're not very present, as you well know, Mr. Featherland. And for all we know, you and your partner are very much responsible for the existence of the clan in the first place.
Really?
Man.
Please, enlighten me.
If the Wessler Empire hadn't fallen, the smaller clans that then waged war for power would never have been
This is,
born. Am I right?
paint the town red.
The Wessler Empire, huh? That was an old case, Your Majesty. If we hadn't stopped that threat, we might have been in even bigger trouble.
Oh, you really think so? That it could be worse than this? The whole city was ravaged by gangs feuding over the remnants of the Wessler Empire. These gang wars have consumed all the attention of the Crown and the police, leaving nothing left for the Hive. One angry insect, fed up, committed an assassination attempt that eventually led to the Segregation Act. See? After all, it all started when the so-called chicken police put the head of the Westler Empire on ice over some petty, little, private matter.
You know, that's kind of a loose and far-fetched hypothesis.
Oh, we haven't covered everything, but you know that in the big picture, we're perfectly right.
I'm beginning to feel like you're interrogating me and not the other way around.
Oh, please don't. We didn't mean to frighten you.
Not frightened.
Then may I continue?
We are at your service.
So, it's the Golden Fang clan that's got you and your people in a tight spot. Am I right?
We're not saying they're responsible for the disappearances. But if it wasn't us, they seem the most likely choice.
I have to agree. Are you willing to talk about them?
To a certain extent, yes. As long as it doesn't harm our interests.
Okay, then let's continue the conversation in this vein.
Okay.
Why would the clan need a fresh corpse? What can they do with it?
Reanimated.
Did you say fresh? How fresh?
Well, the last one was from yesterday. Why? What do you think?
If they were old carcasses, we'd be ignoring it. But fresh meat is a different matter.
Did you say meat?
Have you seen how many insects walk around the hive, missing limbs?
We've had the misfortune to see that, yes.
The Clawvillian gourmets pay fat little fortunes for fresh body parts.
To eat them?
Well, they're not going to put them on display, that's for sure.
So you think the clan sells fresh body parts on the black market?
That could be one reason for digging up bodies. But it could be something else entirely.
Which is?
We don't know, Mr. Featherland. You're the detective, not us. But we're sure you'll get to the bottom of it.
You really do see everything. What do you think the clan is playing for? And where do they get their resources?
For the clan, hiding in the hive was a great idea. But they cut themselves off from the rest of the city with it. So they must have connections or help from beyond the walls.
Another gang? Maybe they've teamed up with someone. The Black Scales. The Furies, maybe.
I don't think so, Mr. Featherland. All the criminal organizations in Clawville are different. But they all have one thing in common. They all want absolute power. That's why they don't really ally themselves with others.
What are you implying? Who can support them from beyond the walls?
Whose interest do you think it would be to aid and abet the clan and get them here? Whose interest is it for the hive to slowly bleed itself dry? For someone who has a problem with the very existence of it.
You mean?
Yeah, but the Cowboys are dogs.
Yes. Exactly, Mr. Featherland.
Sweet, furry, feathered heavens. You claim that the clan is funded by the crown?
We're not saying it is. But the city government is currently benefiting from the fact that the hive is getting on with its little infighting, instead of causing trouble on the big scale. You know, peace negotiations are coming.
Well, what does that have to do with the disappearance of a few bodies of ordinary citizens? Even if it's like you say, isn't that just more fuel for the fire?
It might be. Perhaps it's for a different purpose, Mr. Featherland. That detective, that private eye, who was working on this.
Private Eye?
Frank Castellini. Or, as many called him, half-armed Frank, which we always thought was funny, because he was only one arm short of 4.
Shit. Frank.
The fool was obsessed with pursuing Mick and the clan. He discovered something significant. Maybe he found out exactly where they were hiding. In any case, it certainly pissed off the monkey. Because Mick's got a big bounty on poor Frank's head.
That's bad. That's really bad. Thank you for telling me this.
We're surprised to say it ourselves, but we're glad we could help.
You
Okay,
see?
4 out of 5.
That's what I'm
That's not-
talking about.
So the good cop dynamic versus bad cop. I don't think you can fail an interrogation. I think you can just piss off the person to the point where they don't want to help you, or they like.
So Frank Castellini, right? We know him. In fact, I'd say we're friends.
We thought cops didn't like private eyes.
Frank's helped us out with a lot in the past.
Cox
And in
Nix are
return,
similar.
we'd turn a blind eye when he snooped where he shouldn't have.
There was a time when cooperation between animals and insects was commonplace.
I was just a chick then, Your Majesty, but my partner lived in the Hive's neighborhood for quite some time.
Oh, really?
It used to be a great neighborhood, ma'am.
If this was meant to make us sympathize with you and your cause, you've succeeded. You see, we're old and sentimental, but we're something else, too.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But that's not what we meant. We're practical, which means if you really want our help, you'll have to do something for us in return.
Seems like a fair offer. We're listening.
Frank was never a friend, nor an enemy. He's the kind of man who doesn't belong to either side. Always walking in the shades between them. But not so long ago, we had a quarrel. And he's taken something from us that's very dear to our hearts.
You want us to bring back this something?
Bring it back? No, we don't want it back. You won't be able to do that. Just tell us where it is. We'll take care of the rest.
You're being
That sounds like
deliberately
some murder.
vague, am I right?
Sometimes it's best if you know exactly what you need to know. If you get the information we want, you can guarantee the Great Web will be on
Oh,
your
so you're
side
an ally.
when you clash with the Golden Fang clan.
When? Not if.
Maybe, yeah.
We have no doubt that if you follow the trail your friend Frank has set out on, it will eventually lead you to the clan's trap.
Okay, you got a deal. We'll meet again soon.
It might be.
I look forward to it, detectives. But I'd hurry if I were you. Your friend Frank could be in serious trouble.
Furry hell. Frank. What has he got himself into?
Exactly what we're about to get ourselves into, partner. If you're ready.
What do you mean, ready? I'm always ready. In fact, I was born ready.
I don't mean that. I just mean, what's going on with you and Laura? There's enough shit going on. I don't want to stir up any more.
Cluck that. It's what you do best, Boss Bird. And let's keep it that way, okay? You drive, I follow, we get shot at, we survive, but just
We get
barely, and most
shot at, we
importantly, we
survive
don't
just
talk
barely.
about personal shit. Deal?
You know, buddy, that's the best deal I ever heard.
Now you're talking.
I like that you can get almost like these Japanese mansions for like half the yeah.
Hey, buddy. Change of...
What the fuck are you clucking about?
Honestly, I don't mind you not having that ugly rifle.
What's the chick talking about?
Marty, he's not.
Marty.
I think the suit's a bit much. Somehow it's not for your kind.
What do you mean, not for my kind?
What do you mean? not
Marty,
kind?
I think they're brothers.
Oh, so he and the guy upstairs are twins?
Well done, Marty. You deserve a
Good job,
cookie.
Marty.
Sorry, good sir. We didn't mean to offend.
Will you get the cluck out of here?
On our way.
Oh my god.
You know, it's ironic that you're here snooping around, investigating the clan.
Because...
A few years ago, when you brought down the Wessler Empire, everything that has happened is on you.
Sorry, but I don't quite get it.
We think you do, Mr. Featherland. You're not as bird-brained as you make out. Your heartbeat gives you away.
Look, Your Majesty, I have nothing to be ashamed of. We did what we had to do.
If the Wessler Empire hadn't collapsed, all those new gangs wouldn't have risen from the ashes. Gangs like the Clan, clamoring for power to this day, forcing the city back into the Dark Ages.
Wessler was a lunatic who needed to be stopped. That's the story. Mick is another psycho who's gonna be caught. Simple as that.
Is it really that simple?
Is it really? That's
Always is.
We can't decide if you're just saying that, or if you really believe what you say, which is quite rare.
I'm happy to be the exception that proves the rule, Your Majesty.
what? Oh no. Are you not going now?
who do my...
The one and only,
Looks like we're not the only lost...
not counting that weirdo pianist, of course.
Did we say hi?
Sure we do. I need to know what he's up to. He might even be in similar shoes to ours.
You think so? That would be almost like a crossover episode.
A what?
Never mind.
I've got what I wanted. Ugh, she...
So, you are...
Huh? What? Nah.
Well, then?
We are not two brothers. There are 72 of us.
That's quite a family.
That's
Your
a lot of
mom must have been a
brothers.
real angel.
What?
And tell me, big boy, you all work in this, line of work?
What line of work?
Well, you know, how can I say this?
He means, are you all criminals?
Do you really want to get beaten up that badly? What the
Why would
hell
call
are
them
you,
criminals? Why not
suicide
Queen
chickens?
Protective?
Funny, your brother asked the same thing.
Just get the clock out of here.
Just
Pleasure
get the fuck
talking to
outta
you.
here, you filthy animal. The queen's like, get the fuck out. Okay, so hold on. There's a mini.
Maybe after talking to Her Majesty, we'll be needing a couple of stiff...
We already talked to the queen. We don't need anything else. Now we can look at the pictures.
It's like they're looking at me. Ugh. They have too many eyes for my taste. Noble and... No wonder she's...
Okay, that finished that line of questioning. He has an exclamation point.
Oh no, I think I'm hallucinating.
You're not hallucinating, Phil.
See
We're
the
standing
Maltese
here in
Falcon?
front of you, in all our feathered glory.
That's my clucking luck. Even in the hive, I can't get away from you two.
We're your living conscience, pal.
And what does my conscience tell me?
To stop drinking?
The pot calling the kettle black?
Fair enough.
Shut up, Marty. Not today.
I'll zip it.
So, Are you on a little investigation?
What else would I be doing in the Hive? Do I look like I belong here?
No. Actually, almost hurts to say it out loud, but you look pretty good.
Thanks, sweetheart. By the way, if you're so interested, there's a gang of dung beetles who broke into the local sewage treatment plant and stole some high-quality manure.
Is there such a thing as high-quality manure?
Son, if you only knew. Here, manure is sometimes worth as much as gold.
You know what? We don't need the details.
But I do.
And you? What are you doing here? Are you being teased by some hot she-cat?
Never again, Phil. Never again.
I can understand that. Well, make yourselves at home, if you can. They don't like our kind around here.
You don't say.
I'm surprised you still have feathers.
Yeah, it's a small miracle. Zip has lost something very dear to him. Have you heard anything about it?
Actually, it's a pretty rough story. Mick Goldfang ripped it off with his own hand.
That's what Zip was referring to, though he wouldn't go into details.
I don't blame him.
Any idea where we can find it?
You guys really want to get that thing back?
The old trash panda got us out of a lot of trouble over the years, and we did the same for him. Kind of a habit between us.
All I know is that Mick doesn't always keep it on him. But he does have a secret headquarters somewhere in the Hive. So there's a good chance that's where the stray body part's gonna be.
Thanks, Phil. That sounds like an exceptionally useful tip.
Well, I'm glad I could help. Now you might as well cluck off.
Good evening to you, too.
One more thing, Sonny. What I said, you didn't hear it from me.
Stop treating us like day-old chicks, Phil. We never even met you.
That's the spirit. Good bird.
How come you're drinking so casually in the middle of the Hive? We almost got hanged on the first lamppost when we got here.
Me too. But my client has pretty good connections here, so I've had a sort of license to fly.
Speaking of licenses, do you even have one? I mean, real, proper permission to enter the Hive.
What? No, of course not. What do you take me for, an idiot?
Well, he's got a point.
I hope you didn't have too much of a struggle getting one.
Shut up, both of you. Listen, Phil. You know Frank Castellini.
Of course I know him. Everybody knows him around here. Why?
Well, I think he overreached himself a little and got into a tussle with the Golden Fang clan.
Well, rest in pieces, Frank. You were a great insect. Let's drink to that.
Don't be silly, Phil. He's still alive. At least we hope he is. But maybe not for long. Heard anything from him?
I heard he had a case involving the closing of the textile factory, but that's all I know.
Yeah, we heard about that too. Strange. But thanks anyway.
I hope you find him still alive. He's a good guy.
The underwear? Yeah. Oh, I want to see what the layer looks like with color. That blue dress is really pretty. I love the artwork when it's in color. Like, here, Flurry Ray. Oh, you're doing the Donkey Kong thing. You can't look. Yeah. You can't. And then him in color.
Listen, Philmar. For someone who looks like shit.
How do I look so damn good?
Funny, but, something like that.
If you must know, I have a very rich and powerful benefactor. I get most of my cases from him.
So you're a paid private detective now. Or more like domestic detective?
Laugh if you want, but you'll never make as much dough as I do. And my caseload isn't that demanding.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just be careful, boys. I might come after you again.
I'll show you what it looks like.
What do you mean again?
Oops, I talk too much. Leave
might
me
have to
alone to
come
drink
after you
and
again.
get lost.
Well, it's good to see you too, Phil.
That's a sack. Oh, here. Now you can see the
Sorry, Phil, but what's that thing on your neck?
This? It's called a scarf. In high society, it's worn wrapped around the neck or just thrown over the shoulder. It's great for keeping the neck warm, but it's also used as a fashion accessory.
I know what a scarf is, jackass. What's it doing on you? That's way too, delicate for you.
Huh. It was given to me by someone very important to me. Let that be enough.
Ah, so there's a girl involved.
I never said that.
Well, what
Sounds
then?
like a dame to kill now.
Will you get the cluck out of here already?
Get the cluck out of here,
Okay,
you
okay,
filthy
don't be
animal.
so jumpy.
I think it's a nice scarf. Really?
One person that's
Fuck off.
Oh, he just said fuck off. There's a second one. There's a second fuck off.
Are you here for an audience with the Queen?
With
I've already met her. But I got the impression she's not too keen on Clavillian private eyes sniffing around.
Yet she tolerates your presence.
It's that indelible charm of mine, Sonny. But how could you possibly know that?
and a fumble.
Yeah, my kind of charm doesn't belong here.
Now get out of here, cluckers. I'm trying to work.
Looks like real hard work, Phil.
Martin.
Basically,
I
yeah.
know, shut up. I'm used to it.
Are you here for an... Yet she...
It's that indelible...
Yeah.
Now get out of here.
Looks...
Mart.
I know.
Funny, but it... I've got what I...